Hey everyone, today I am super excited to give you your first look at the long-awaited new DJI Mini 5 Pro, and in this video we will be looking at the 5 big upgrades compared to the previous Mini 4 Pro, along with other little new changes, features and some niggles I have discovered over the past few weeks of testing this drone, including the new camera and rotating gimbal system, along with comparison footage, the new Med-Tele Mode, design changes, LiDAR, and more. And hopefully this will help you decide if it's worth upgrading or if you're considering buying the Mini 5 Pro to help you work out if this drone is for you. Now, if at any time you would like to find out more about the Mini 5 Pro or pick it up, I have put links in the description down below where you can do just that. Alright, and let's start with the new design, which straight away features a new gimbal and prop guard. Whereas the Mini 4 Pro had a separate guard for the gimbal and propellers, this new design protects both all in one, making it faster and easier to remove or put back on. Now, folded and side by side, alongside the new darker grey colour of the Mini 5 Pro, which I actually prefer, you can see it is slightly longer, although essentially the same width and height, so remaining extremely compact. And unfolded, they are as near as makes no difference the same size. Although when on the ground, the Mini 5 Pro does sit higher due to where the arms are on the body. Also, when unfolding the Mini 5 Pro, much like a lot of DJI's latest drones, it will automatically turn on, again speeding up the setup time, although if you prefer, this can be turned off in the settings menu. The drone is also C0 compliant, although weirdly, my model does weigh slightly over 250 grams, coming in at around 252 grams. I also noticed in the box and on the drone, it no longer mentions sub 250 grams anywhere. Now, I did message DJI and ask them about this, and they gave me an official response, which I'll put on screen now, so make of that what you will. Now, in terms of the design itself, the only other big change includes push-to-twist propellers, a very welcome upgrade in my opinion, as with the Mini 4 Pro, the screws that held the propellers were very fiddly to remove, and also very easy to strip. And even worse, if you forgot to pack the little screwdriver, you could not change them on location if you crashed and they got damaged. Now, however, this push-and-twist system doesn't require an additional tool and is much easier and faster to use. Now, speaking of propellers, in terms of performance, the new Mini 5 Pro has significant improvements with a much faster max ascent speed of 10 meters per second, along with an improved max horizontal speed of 18 meters per second compared to the lower 16 meters per second on the Mini 5 Pro. So this can help you get into position and move it around much faster. Even more impressive is that the wind resistance is also noticeably better, with this small, light drone capable of handling wind speeds of up to 12 meters per second compared to a lower 10.7 on the older model, and you really do notice the difference when flying it on windy days, with the Mini 5 Pro being noticeably more stable compared to the already excellent for its size Mini 4. The rest is very familiar, with the drone featuring 6 obstacle avoidance sensors as before, 4 on the top and 2 on the bottom, giving it omnidirectional obstacle avoidance, which can brake or bypass when it detects those obstacles, although it does now also come with forward-facing LiDAR, which we will look at shortly. Just below these sensors though, is where you will see the first big and arguably most important upgrade to the Mini 5 Pro, the camera and gimbal system. So, starting with the camera, and we now have a much larger 1-inch sensor compared to only 1/1.3 inch on the Mini 4 Pro, meaning this tiny, compact drone now has the same size camera sensor as the main camera on the much larger Air 3S. And this larger sensor area, combined with a new image processing platform, means while it retains the same max 4K 60fps HDR resolution and frame rate as before in normal video mode, your shots will have significantly more detail, and that becomes really clear to see when we push in on these comparison clips captured between the two drones. But more importantly, this larger sensor allows the Mini 5 Pro to have a much higher dynamic range. In auto mode, which unlocks the most dynamic range possible, the Mini 5 Pro offers up to 14 stops. Pretty crazy. And when shooting sunsets or sunrises, you can clearly see the difference this makes, offering much more detail in the bright highlights of the sky. This larger sensor also means that despite this new drone having a ever so slightly narrower aperture and the same max ISO of 12,800 as the older model, it still has a much improved low light and nighttime performance with increased brightness, more detail and less noise compared to the older model. Slow motion also gets a small bump up to a max of 4K 120 FPS on the new Mini 5 Pro compared to a lower 4K 100 FPS on the Mini 4 Pro. And when it comes to capturing videos, well, everything else remains the same, with the Mini 5 Pro featuring the normal color mode, allowing you to capture beautiful footage you can use straight from the drone, D-Log-M, which is a flatter color profile that better preserves highlights and shadows for more dynamic range, but this does require color grading, and HLG. The ND filters, on the other hand, have been redesigned. These no longer twist on, so when you get the drone, be very careful not to try and twist the cap off like with the Mini 4, as this is no longer possible. Instead, these just click on over the top. In terms of photos, the Mini 5 Pro also gets a small bump in this area, now allowing you to capture JPEG or RAW 50 megapixel images compared to 48 megapixels on the previous version. The most exciting new feature, in my opinion, however, is the addition of a 48mm Med-Tele Mode. Now, if you own a Pocket 3, you are probably aware of a fairly recent update which added what is essentially a 2x lossless zoom. And that technology is now available on the Mini 5 Pro, meaning that despite the drone only having one camera, we get two focal lengths, the standard wide 24mm and a much closer 48mm or 2x zoom. And because this is lossless, it retains the same 4K resolution with the same level of detail and sharpness. And you can really see the difference when comparing side by side with the Mini 4 Pro's purely digital zoom, which looks significantly softer and doesn't have as much detail. And this means using this drone, you can now punch in much closer to your subject without having to fly the drone physically closer, or get more creative when emphasizing your subject, or even get more exaggerated parallax as the drone moves around. You also don't need to stop recording to change between the wide and medium tele mode, as this can be switched while capturing video. And if you're using tracking and switch to 2x, the drone will automatically smooth zoom between the two. Another big new feature that has trickled down from the more expensive flagship Mavic 4 Pro is the new flexible gimbal rotation. Although weirdly, for one main reason that we'll get onto in a second, this version is actually even better. So just like with the Mavic 4 Pro, the Mini 5 Pro now allows you to manually rotate the gimbal up to 225 degrees, and this can be done by either pressing and holding the C1 button on the back of the controller while turning the scroll wheel, or to make it easier, there is a quick shot mode in which the drone will do it automatically. You can also combine this functionality with Spotlight mode to help you get these really unique and creative shots. The Mini 5 Pro, also just like before, also allows true vertical shooting, so you can capture 4K 9:16 videos, but unlike with the more expensive Mavic 4 Pro, in which vertical mode limits the downward gimbal tilt angle heavily, preventing top-down shots, with the Mini 5 Pro, this is not an issue, as even in true vertical mode, the gimbal can point 90 degrees straight down. Now, while the obstacle avoidance system of the Mini 4 Pro was fantastic, its Achilles heel was low light and nighttime situations. When flying in those circumstances, you would actually be alerted the sensors were shutting off due to it being too dark for them to accurately detect obstacles. So if we take this example, flying towards this wall, even though there is adequate street lighting, you can see the Mini 4 Pro is not stopping itself as the sensors have turned off. I actually have to manually stop it myself with the controls. Well, this is where the two forward-facing LiDAR sensors on the new Mini 5 Pro come in. These can continue to operate down to the equivalent of candlelight, so will continue to work with typical street lighting, and in this same test, you can see this new drone does stop itself detecting the wall. These LiDAR sensors also make return to home much safer at night, again as they can see and help avoid the obstacles as it automatically returns back to you. And because of them LiDAR sensors, this drone can also return to home without a satellite connection, making this drone much safer to fly in those nighttime situations. Now, speaking of safety, if you are planning to upgrade to the Mini 5 Pro or pick it up, something I always recommend picking up alongside it is DJI Care Refresh. It's their version of insurance that covers you for accidental damage that includes collisions, flyaways, and water damage. Now, I will be completely honest, with the previous Mini 4 Pro, I did crash it quite a few times. Sometimes no matter how much you plan, accidents happen. But because I always made sure each drone of mine is protected with Care Refresh, when you do damage a drone, it's simply a case of sending it back, paying a small additional fee, and within a few days, you have a brand new one in your hands. It's a very quick and efficient process, and it has got me back up and running more times than I care to admit. So if you want to find out more about DJI Care Refresh or also pick it up, I've also put a link to that in the description down below. Now, other little improvements to the Mini 5 Pro include an increase to the internal storage, with this new drone now coming with 42 gigabytes of built-in memory, enough to save your day if you forget a memory card, compared to the barely usable 2 gigabytes on the Mini 4 Pro. And the battery life also gets a small improvement. Now, while the new batteries are the same shape as the previous Mini 4 Pro model, these new versions have a higher capacity, allowing a slightly increased maximum rated flight time of 36 minutes compared to 34 minutes on the Mini 4 Pro. Although in my testing, I do have to say I found a more realistic real-world flight time of around 23 minutes on average. Now, when it comes to charging the batteries, the Mini 5 Pro is also much faster when you use the two-way charging hub, which comes with the Fly More combo, as using this, you can charge all 3 batteries in only 115 minutes compared to a much longer 3-hour charge time with the Mini 4 Pro two-way charging hub. Lastly, there is also this new side button that when pressed will open up the quick transfer feature on the DJI Fly app, allowing you to copy the videos and photos from your drone to your phone quickly. Now, tracking with the Mini 5 Pro has also been upgraded. So while we still get the fantastic ActiveTrack 360 system, this new version features custom tracking modes for when it's following you walking or running, cycling, in a vehicle, and more, allowing you to set custom heights and distances for each type of subject, meaning you don't need to adjust these each time if you wanted the drone to follow close when walking, but far when in a vehicle, for example. And if you are tracking vehicles, it's also good to know that the max tracking speed has now been boosted up to 15 meters per second, so it will be able to keep up with you when moving around faster. Now, in terms of controllers, the Mini 5 Pro is also compatible with either the DJI RC N3, that's the controller you attach your phone to, the RC2, and the latest RC Pro 2 using AutoSync 4 Plus. And for all the other features, as expected, you get everything that was already included in the Mini 4 Pro. So you get quick shots, master shots, panoramas, hyperlapses, cruise control, waypoints, vision assist, and more. But the big question is it worth upgrading to? And in my opinion, the answer is an easy yes. Not only does this new camera produce better looking footage with more dynamic range, but now thanks to that Med-Tele Mode and the rotating gimbal, you can get more creative shots and angles. That combined with LiDAR, better performance, and better wind resistance, DJI has somehow made an already excellent drone even better. But I'm keen to know your thoughts. Do you think the Mini 5 Pro is worth the upgrade? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you do plan to upgrade to this drone, or you just want to find out more about it, again, I put a link in the description down below where you can do just that. Now, before you go, if you liked this video and you learned something new, please let me know by giving me the thumbs up and clicking that like button down below. And if you love all things drones, but also action cameras, gimbals, 360 cameras and more, and want to know the best settings to get up and running quickly, along with tips and tricks to help you get more cinematic videos and better looking images with your gear, then please consider clicking that subscribe button down below. And when you're down there, be sure to check the notification bell so that you will be alerted when my new videos are released. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to stick around and watch a few more now, here's a few I personally recommend. I'll not keep you back any further. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you over there.